Hello, and welcome to my channel, The Rooted Librarian. My name is Kate, and I am indeed a librarian. I've been an academic librarian, which means that I work in universities or colleges for over a decade now. And I also like plants, and I kind of like the ginormous, gnarly evergreen tree roots that we see out here in the Pacific Northwest. So I wanted something bookish and planty in the channel name, so that's how we ended up with The Rooted Librarian. And this video right here is actually my YouTube debut, my very first video as The Rooted Librarian. I am slightly terrified about doing this, also excited, nervous. I honestly have no idea what I am doing. Am I even looking at the right spot? I think the camera's there, but anyway, so bear with me while I figure out this YouTube thing. I mean, I don't even have like a wireless mic yet, so I hope my sound quality is okay. By the time I edit this and put this up, I'm hoping that I'll figure out some of that, but there's a lot of awesome content creators out there that I can learn from, so that's really nice. Let me get into the plan for this channel. So my plan is to build a community and have a creative outlet. And I'm looking down because I have notes because my memory sucks and it's my first video. So now, I mean, I've created tutorial videos for work, but those are very short. Like, people don't want to hear me talking about library databases for, more than like 3 minutes. So having longer form content like this is something new. So I have a script, okay? So I might be looking down occasionally. Okay, my plan for this channel, as I mentioned, is to build community and talk about books, bookish things, maybe some library stuff, maybe video games, because I do play a lot of kind of cozier video games or games that I consider cozy. Like Baldur's Gate, Stardew Valley, Fields of Mysteria. I just started playing Fantasy Life. So anyway, I might end up streaming games. I might talk about games. And I also like houseplants. So mostly bookish, I would say, is what this channel is going to focus on, and like what I'm reading and what I think about books. And then also, yeah, talk about cozy video games and houseplants. That's kind of the general vibe. So if you want to watch an elder millennial, I'm not going to say how elder, talk about any of these things, come and hang out. Hit the like, subscribe button. See, I'm doing it. I'm throwing that in, which is good. I had to remind myself to throw that in. And yeah, grab a beverage, grab a snack, come and hang out. This first video here, this inaugural video, I'm going to talk about the books that I've really enjoyed so far this year. So some favorites, I think I would call them some favorites of the year since January, basically, of this year of 2025. Okay, so the first book, and here's a preview. Dun, 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 dun. Look at all these books. So there you go, there's your preview. The first book I'm going to talk about, I don't actually own a physical copy, so I'll try to put up pictures, maybe in this little square here, this little boop, boop, boop. It's Blood Over Brighthaven, and I'm definitely not alone in really enjoying that book. I think a lot of people have talked about this book and really liking it, and the hype is deserved, frankly. It's a really good book. It's by M.L. Wong, by the way. I did not mention the author's name, who also wrote The Sword of Kaigen, which I believe was self-published, or it's on a Kindle Unlimited authorship. And I haven't read The Sword of Kaigen. I want to. I keep putting it off because I feel like it might take me a second to get into it, but anyway, moving on to Blood Over Brighthaven. I really enjoyed this book. So the premise, I don't remember the characters' names, unfortunately. So sorry about that, but a brief description is there's a woman character that we are following, and she is the first woman ever admitted to a prestigious order of mages in this kind of mage college. And she has to work very hard to be the first woman to get any kind of respect in this world. And as kind of a joke, they pair her with an assistant that is basically a janitor. He used to be a janitor, and they basically say, oh, you need an assistant, because they were denying her an assistant. You can have the janitor, as like a joke. And the joke is a racist joke, because the janitor is from a ethnicity that is oppressed in this society, that is very much like they're treated as subclass humans because they were from the outside world. So this mage school is in a kind of a walled off community or country where outsiders from outside the wall are treated like second-class citizens, are very much, oppressed, marginalized in the society. So that is the background of this janitor. He comes from the outside world. He's treated as a subclass citizen. And they basically, I didn't say who they is. The other scholars in this mage school who are, not happy to have a woman in their ranks. As a joke, they pair her with this janitor, and this main character, her worldview gets challenged by this former janitor slash assistant because he is from this oppressed group, and he basically kind of, talks about his experience and sort of widens her worldview. And the way that the book handles that is very interesting and I think very realistic. The book talks about themes of colonialism, racism, genocide, oppression, and I think it does it very well. And I remember talking about this book. I think I read this over New Year's Eve, basically. So right in January, like December, January. I remember talking to my friend about this. We were going to Vancouver, Canada for a New Year's Eve celebration and talking about how like about 40% in, I think I was at that time, like there's already been such a big shift. And I was just wondering like how the rest of the book was gonna go. And it went really well. Like I just really enjoyed how ML Wong handled all of these themes, handled the characters, shifting worldviews and dynamics. So highly, highly recommend, definitely worth the hype. Really enjoyed this one. And I probably am gonna get a physical copy of it someday. I just got it from Libby, the library app, which by the way, highly recommend that if you have not used Libby yet, get it through your public library. It's free. And you get all sorts of ebooks, audiobooks, magazines, newspapers even from Libby. Anyway, moving on. I'm a librarian. I have to talk about these things. Okay, so the next book is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. Again, I don't own this one, so I'm gonna put up a little thumbnail here. And this one, I actually do own the second book though. So here's the second book, Private Rights, but I haven't read this one yet. Okay, so in this book, I heard about this book from Wild Fern. Actually, I think it's her second channel. It's Cozy Plant Lady, I think. So Fern, that's the YouTube creator's name, mentioned that she really enjoyed this book, Our Wives Under the Sea, and that it's kind of like weird girl fiction, although I don't know if I love that description, but yeah, weird girl fiction. I apparently can't say that. Which I had not read a lot of like kind of almost fiction horror, like a genre blending, I would say. I hadn't really read a ton of those, and so I wanted to dip my toe in. And I mostly read fantasy and sci-fi, and not a ton of fiction, but I wanted to get back into fiction, so I'm glad I did. It's very weird. It is a little bit like, what the heck did I just read? But I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the vibes. It's ocean. So, okay, it's ocean. The book is ocean. No, it is two characters. They're married to each other, Mary and Leah. Leah goes on a deep sea mission that ends in catastrophe. And it soon becomes clear because Leah returns, and I think she's the only survivor. She returns, comes back to Mary, and you can just tell, Mary can tell that Leah is not the same. Something has happened to her. Something is going on with her, and it's not totally clear exactly what's going on, but you kind of go back and forth between Mary's point of view and then Leah's point of view as she is doing this deep sea mission. So I really enjoy this. I'm very similar to Fern in that I love stuff to do with the ocean. I love the ocean. If you bring up the ocean, like if there are mermaids, if there's like a deep sea adventure, if there's like a boat, like a pirate ship, give it to me, give it all to me. I want all the ocean stuff. So I like that this is got features the ocean and some weird ocean things going on. So I highly recommend this one. And the cover I'm putting up is the British cover because it's just way better than the American cover, in my opinion. I don't think I'm the only one that shares that opinion, but this is the British cover that I put up. Okay, moving on to something a bit more cozy, a little bit more kind of, how would I put this one? Yeah, cozy. I would say cozy mystery vibes. It's called A Castle in the Clouds by Kirsten Gier. And I heard about this one from another booktuber. I get a lot of my recommendations from BookTube. And actually, I credit BookTube with a lot of my kind of reinvigorated love of reading and reading as a primary source of entertainment or as a primary hobby. So I'll put the name of the person on the screen, maybe. So A Castle in the Clouds by Kirsten Gier. So this one takes place, it's a grand old hotel in the Swiss mountains. So the vibes are wonderful. It's a good one to read in the wintertime, like around the holidays, I would say. It's like perfect for that. So grand old hotel in the Swiss mountains. And every year they host like a New Year's Eve ball. And Sophie, the main character that we follow, works at this hotel as an intern. And she's just busy running around making sure everything's going to plan for this ball. But unexpected problems keep coming up, and some of the guests are not who they say they are. So there's a little bit of a mystery. But yeah, vibes are immaculate. I highly recommend this one. It's very cute, very fun. There's also a little bit of a romance. Yeah, very good one for the holidays. So I would recommend this. I read this a little bit after, like in January, like mid-January, I think, but I really enjoyed it. The next one is another really cute, cozy fantasy type book. And I'm trying to grab, wait, where did I put it? Oh, here. This is the second book. So this, the one that I'm going to be talking about is the first book in this series. And it's called The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holton. And I heard about that one from Katie is Reading, which, speaking of immaculate vibes, if you have not watched Katie is Reading videos, I highly recommend that you watch those. Good stuff. Anyway, so The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love is just a cute historical rom-com, basically. It's like magical birds. So there are these ornithologists and they're all like rivals with each other. And they're hunting through England for rare magical birds. And if you get, there's a competition going on. If you find this one particular magical bird, you'll get like, I don't know, notoriety and a lot of money or something. So we follow our two main characters, kind of the rom-com aspect. Their banter is really cute. I love the kind of quest, like kind of Indiana Jones type vibe to this. I think that's actually in the description, is that it's Indiana Jones vibe. But it's with like manners and tea and parasols and removing gloves slowly and all that kind of stuff. So it's just cute. I highly recommend it. I'm looking forward to reading this second one, which is The Geographer's Map to Romance. I don't own the first one, which is why I put up a picture, but I'll probably end up buying it someday because I'm probably going to reread that one. Highly enjoyed that one. Okay, moving on. Next, we have another sort of, another fantasy. So this one, this is the British cover for this, but it's The Crimson Moth, or also known as sorry, I'm looking in the wrong place. There we go, Kate, there we go. The Heartless Hunter series, or duology, excuse me. It's just a duology. So The Heartless Hunter and Rebel Witch. I'm going to talk about both together. So Crimson Moth, I just really liked the British cover more than the American cover, I guess. So that's why I bought this one. But yeah, so Crimson Moth duology by Kristen Ciccarelli. I hope I'm saying that right. This is a steamy cat and mouse type book with between a witch and a witch hunter. Don't have their names in my little script here, so apologies, but I kind of, here, let me figure out what I'm going to say about this. I kind of avoided reading this because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. And I kind of heard like maybe not like people liked it, but I hadn't heard like, oh, this is amazing. But actually, I really enjoyed this. I think whoever I heard good things about this from, I agree with. I think it's very interesting. I liked the dynamics between the witch and the witch hunter. I liked the kind of backdrop of this world of, you know, why witches were hunted in the first place. And yeah, kind of the secrets and the bloody history. So yeah, I enjoyed this duology. I would recommend this duology. It was just a fun time. It was just a fun time. I really enjoyed these books. So I'm probably going to reread them at some point. So I'm going to own the second copy too. And yeah, I tend to try to buy the books that I know I'm probably going to read it again. And I've been buying more print copies of things this year, which has been fun. Okay, moving on to the next one. All right. This is a completely different vibe than the books that I just mentioned. So this is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I have not read S.A. Cosby's other works. This is the first one I read. This was totally a friend's recommendation. She mentioned this was one of her favorite books. I think she found it on, it was like one of Obama's top reads. I forget what his list is called. Is it Summer Reads, maybe? Obama's Summer Reads? Anyway, but she got it from his list and she loved it. And so I think I bought this like 2 years ago, and I finally got the audiobook and started listening to it when I was driving to see my parents, and finished it that night, basically. Like I got home, started reading the physical book, and I was done. So this is a thriller, mystery kind of thriller revenge story between two ex-cons, Ike Randolph and Buddy Lee. Ike Randolph is a Black man, and he's been out of jail for like 15 years. Buddy Lee is a white, kind of Southern guy, also out of jail. And they both had gay sons that were married to each other. And I would say that, yeah, Ike and Buddy Lee were very homophobic towards their sons. They did not treat them well. But then their sons are murdered. So trigger warning, there's violence against the gay community, against the queer community, also against the trans community in this book. There's homophobia, so all the trigger warnings. But Ike and Buddy Lee meet for the first time at their son's funeral. And basically, Buddy Lee is like, we need to get revenge. Like, we need to hunt whoever did this down and get our revenge. And Ike is like, I don't know. But then eventually something happens where basically like the cops don't have a lot of other evidence coming in. They have no more leads basically. And they're kind of letting the case grow cold. And Ike is like, nope. So Ike joins Buddy Lee in this quest for vengeance and kind of redemption, I guess, too, like since they both did not treat their sons very well when they were alive. And yeah, I thought it was just a very gripping story, and I really enjoyed it. I think I definitely make me want to read S.A. Cosby's other books. And yeah, again, trigger warnings, but yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I'm excited to read. I think there's a new book that just came out. I forgot the title. If I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen, the new one. I'll be reading that pretty soon. Okay. The next book, I don't have a physical copy of. I heard about it from my local bookstore, actually. They usually have like a new book display, and a local independent bookstore, which I do try to support local independent bookstores wherever I can. I went in and was looking at their new bookshelf, and this one, which is The 13th Child by Erin Craig, was recommended. It had, you know, how some bookstores will have like recommendation slips. This one had a recommendation slip. And I'm glad I picked it up. It's very interesting, kind of a different vibe. And also, by the way, I have a cat. This is totally random, but my cat is right here. Come here, cat. Say hello to the YouTube people. This is my cat, Flynn. She'll probably be showing up. Anyway, she was just over there messing with my books, so I figured I'd grab her real quick and make you pay the tax. Yes, the video tax. All right, there we go. All right, sorry for the little interlude there, little cat interlude. There's probably gonna be a lot of those, by the way. So, okay, back to 13th Child. 13th Child is a kind of take on Godfather Death, which is a Grimm's fairy tale, I believe. So it's a dark fairy tale kind of book, and It's by the same author of The House of Salt and Sorrows. Did I say it's by Aaron Craig? I think I did. But anyway, The House of Salt and Sorrows, which I now want to read because I did enjoy this book. This is the story of Hazel, who is the 13th child. And in this world, I think children are kind of like claimed by different entities, like death, for example, or I'm forgetting, like the many-faced god, or I forget exactly what the names are, but they get kind of claimed to join their order. And Hazel is claimed by death as a child, as a baby, and is not picked up by death for many years, not basically until she's like 13 or something. So, and it's not, she's kind of treated not the best by her family. She's kind of neglected, and she's like ready for death to come get her because she just feels like, she just doesn't feel very welcomed in her own family. And he finally comes to get her, and death finally comes to get Hazel. And he basically is like, you're going to become a healer. And she's like, okay. So she has to train herself basically to become a healer. She's also given an ability to see exactly how to help people or how to heal people. And that ability is a double-edged sword because she also now sees when folks are marked for death, basically being that they need to die for the larger good. I guess that's the idea. Anyway, I don't want to ruin things, but Hazel has to kind of deal with her gifts and what they mean. And also, I really enjoyed the dynamics between Death and Hazel, and how Death is like this immortal being. He has no real understanding of humanity or human needs. And Hazel is just like, I want some autonomy. And like fighting for her own autonomy, her own desires, while also being this kind of ward of, or goddaughter of death. And anyway, I thought that was really interesting. And I like the kind of dark fairy tale aspect to this. So I highly recommend that. And I'm glad that I found it at my bookstore. So going on to the next one. So the next one, where did I put that? Oh yeah, here we go. The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This one, there's a lovely sprayed edges, which I go back and forth on sprayed edges, whether or not I like them. I think in general I like them, but I do think that they're a little like, it's become kind of a fad at this point, and that's fine. But at some point, like, we need to kind of let it go. But I do enjoy the beautiful cover. So the Spell Shop is just freaking adorable. Like, I like cozy fantasy. And this one definitely delivers on the cozy fantasy aspect. There's also, some grief, some themes of grief in here. There's also a talking spider plant, and I love that. I love that so much. As I mentioned, I do like plants. I might end up talking about some houseplants. I think I have like 20 houseplants. I used to have like over 50 different houseplants. So I was one of those pandemic houseplant people. And that's kind of how I got into YouTube, actually. Anyway, so talking spider plant, sentient spider plant, which is adorable. I love it. And so the premise is that the main character, who is Keila. So she's a librarian, which also love, at the Great Library of Elysium, and her assistant, which is the talking spider plant, Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant. They have spent basically the last decade sequestered in the stacks amongst the most precious spellbooks, which these spellbooks are kind of restricted to a certain group of people, like the Empire's people, I think. I think there's an emperor. And so not everyone can read them or have access to them. And there's a revolution going on, and Keila thinks that that they would never touch the library, right? Because knowledge should be free. But then the revolution actually ends up burning the library. And so she's in the library when this is happening. There's fires everywhere. She's grabbing all these spell books to save them from the fire. And she escapes with her sentient plant, Kaz. And she goes back to her childhood home, which is on an island, and basically goes back to her house where she grew up, and it's kind of run down. And she has to figure out how to make money, how to survive, and also how to kind of hide that she has these books, because it is illegal and she would get in trouble if people found out that she had them. There's a romance in this. There's just cute island character vibes. It's fantasy, so there's a lot of different kinds of like humanoid creatures, and it's just a good time. I really enjoyed this. And I think there's another book coming out. It might be in the same world. If I can find a cover, I will put it up here, but I will definitely be reading that because I just really enjoyed this. And also she's a librarian, come on. It almost made me want to get a spider plant, but spider plants I personally find kind of challenging to take care of. I've had like one or two and they end up dying. So I don't know if I want to get a spider plant, but this book did make me want to maybe get a spider plant. Okay, moving on. So the next one I read is actually, I don't own a copy of it, but I probably will get a copy of it. And it's Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. And this one I got as an ARC or an advanced reader copy through NetGalley. And I forgot the publisher. I'll put it on the screen, maybe with the book cover. But basically this one is kind of I would say a YA, a young adult, which I do enjoy young adult as well. It's about 6 students at Blackwood Academy, an enigmatic boarding school located at the edge of the afterlife. So kind of an interesting premise there. And these 6 students are in a competition for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change their fate. So basically they can either graduate from the school and get out of purgatory, or if they lose the competition, they have to stay in purgatory forever. So it is quite high stakes. And I did enjoy this. I thought it was a very interesting kind of twist on the magical school, on the competition trope. And I enjoyed all the 6 characters. I thought they were interesting. And also the cover for this is gorgeous. So yeah, and I'm glad I got it through NetGalley. So I'm excited. I think this is coming out end of July, I believe. And if I'm wrong, I will put the corrected date on the screen. So I recommend this one. I thought this was really fun and also just a pretty book to look at. Okay, next one is actually my only nonfiction on this list. I tend to stick to fiction, fantasy, sci-fi, and so I don't read a ton of nonfiction. I think I went to graduate school to become a librarian. I know it does require a master's degree. And I also have another master's degree in history and archives. And this, I think that ruined nonfiction for me. I feel like I need to be getting paid to read nonfiction, like it's a job. But that being said, I am trying to get more nonfiction reads because I do really want to understand things, and it's a good way of getting information. So the nonfiction that I read is Feeding Ghosts by Tessa Hulse. I got this from the library where I work. And Tessa Hulse, I believe, either lived in the Northwest or still lives in the Northwest. So I saw an article about this because she won the Pulitzer Prize for Best Memoir, I believe. And so, yeah, she was in like the Seattle Times. And so I figured I would just pick it up and read it. And yeah, it's a graphic memoir. She did all of the artwork. She did a lot of research for this as well and worked on this for several years. Basically, it covers 3 generations of women in her family, Tessa's family. So her grandmother, Sun Yi, her mother, who I don't have the name in my notes, but yeah, her mother as well. And kind of the ripple effects of generational trauma. So her grandmother, Sun Yi, was a journalist in Shanghai and was swept up in the 1949 communist takeover victory. And Sun Yi had a relationship with a foreigner, and that's how Tessa's mother came about. And because she had a relationship with a foreigner, and she was also a journalist, she was targeted a lot by the Communist Party, and just a lot of very kind of brainwashy types of things, gaslighting, brainwashing, kind of a terror campaign in a way. And so very traumatic experience. Eventually, her grandmother escapes to Hong Kong with her mother, or Sun Yi's daughter escapes to Hong Kong. Sun Yi writes a best-selling memoir about her persecution and survival of the communist takeover, and then promptly has a mental breakdown, and she never recovers. And so there's just this kind of a real deep dive into kind of the twists and turns, not twists and turns, how should I say this? kind of the warped sense of safety and what love means in a very kind of generational trauma landscape. So yeah, because Tessa's mother had to take care of Sunny, her mother, and Tessa's grandmother. She had to take care of her after her mental breakdown, and that kind of caused her mother to have a very warped sense of what love is and what love looks like. And then Tessa talks about the impacts on her as well. And she basically, in this book, she takes a trip back to China to try to kind of retrace her grandmother's steps and where she lived and what might have happened to her. Anyway, it's very good. If you want to learn more about kind of the Chinese American immigration experience, the kind of multiracial experience, because Tessa's father is also European. So yeah, so they're just kind of like being mixed race, mixed nationality, and how that impacts your identity, how that impacts how you kind of, yeah, like how society treats you and how you kind of go in and out of spaces. So yeah, very good graphic memoir. The graphics are very haunting, very impactful. So I recommend that one. And hey, it won a Pulitzer, so it's probably good. I don't know. So anyway, moving on to the next book. The next one is me diving a little bit more into horror. And I think I've stayed away from horror because I didn't want to be freaked out. But I've discovered that I actually really like some horror. And yeah, I think I like a lot of the themes that can come up in horror. So anyway, Horror, A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. The description says, first of all, before I get into that, look at this cover. This is just so cool. I think this is so cool, so beautiful. Look at the spine there too. I think it's really interesting. And I apparently really like botanical horror, excuse me. I like weird planty, I like weird messed up planty mutation horror, apparently. So this one is Mexican Gothic meets The Lie Tree is what they say. I have not read either of those things, but if that sounds familiar to you. It's Mary Shelley. It's definitely inspired by Mary Shelley and Frankenstein's monster, very much so. So this, it features two gentlemen during the Victorian era. They have to hide their relationship with each other because it is taboo. They live in a botanical garden, like a greenhouse, basically. One of them is a taxidermist, one of them is a botanist. And the botanist gets this like shipment of this weird fungus. Also, I really like weird fungus. Anyway, moving on. You're like, too much information. But he gets this weird fungus in the mail and that has kind of weird properties to it. And basically, both of those men embark on a Frankenstein style experiment. And I would say I greatly enjoyed this. I read this in a day. It was just like, I just really liked the kind of creepy vibes and the Frankenstein's monster aspect to this. I will say that I think one of the characters was forgiven a little too easily, but that's the only negative thing I have to say about it. So I enjoyed this. I want to read other things by this author, and now I really want to read Mexican Gothic too. So, okay, moving on. And this is the last book. So if you are still here, thanks for hanging in there. The next book is A Drop of Corruption. I actually read that, I think, last month. Or no, in April. I read that in April. No, I read it in May. I read it last month. Okay, moving on. A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the second book in a series, I believe, by Robert Jackson Bennett. The first one is The Tainted Cup. And I read The Tainted Cup last year. I really enjoyed it. I think I also gave that one 5 stars. And it's like a Sherlock Holmes meets Attack on Titan, maybe? Like it's an interesting blend of like this empire, this world where there's this empire, this kind of very humid jungle-like landscape, and then there are leviathans that hang out in the ocean. And leviathan blood is used to to enhance people, to do a lot of things. And there's like a lot of like plant mutations and like human mutations. So again, right up my alley, apparently. And yeah, so this takes place in the canton of Yarrowdale. There's this, it's kind of a canton that's at the very edge of this empire's reach, and there's an impossible crime that has happened. So I love the main detective in this, or investigator, I guess, and I think her name's Anna, and she is hilarious. She's like the Sherlock Holmes type character, and then she has this this apprentice, or assistant, excuse me, inspector assistant. And, oh, what is his name? Oh, crap. I literally just read this. Anyway, he's like the Watson character, and he gets all the action. Like, she makes all the jokes. He gets all the action. It's a really fun duo, and I really enjoyed this. So I recommend this. I recommend The Tainted Cup, and I recommend A Drop of Corruption. They're both really fun. All right, we made it to the end. If you are still here, please put, ooh, what should we do for an emoji? Let's do a number 1. I think there's an emoji for number 1. Let's do a number 1. Or some kind of celebration emoji, just to be like, first video, yay! Thanks for hanging out. If you liked this video, please let me know. Also, let me know if you've read any of these books and if you liked them. And yeah, I hope to see you next week for my next video, which I think is going to be a book haul. Although now that I've pulled up a lot of my favorite books, that might be redundant, but I think there's a lot of books that were not on this list that I have purchased recently. So I might do a book haul next week. So I hope to see you next week. I hope to engage with you in the comments. And thanks for hanging out during my first ever video. All right, thank you all. Bye.